Okay.
All right. Can y'all hear me? Audible, great. So, it's actually my great pleasure to introduce our speaker for tonight, Suz Lipman. And a lot of y'all know her, but for those of us who have not yet met her, please welcome Suz Lipman to this group. Suz and I met in 2016, I think, right after the election. And we met in a group in Mill Valley dedicated to the purpose of making some good trouble. So we did. And here we are, right? Um, so since then, at that time, Suz was doing pretty, uh, she wasn't necessarily doing street photography, but you were doing pieces that I remember got into a show with really nice lighting and little street lights. And then about a year later, she got into street photography, and wow. Um, she's taken up street photography and adventured into diners and buses and the financial district and the streets of San Francisco and other towns, and apparently had a really good time of it. Suz, for example, turned me on to St. Stupid's Day because of a photo she did. It was news to me, but I'm going to join henceforth. So Suz has had her work displayed in a lot of high-end places. She's been shown by the International Center of Photography, and Suz, take it away. It's all yours.
Oops, that's that.
Thank you. I really appreciate the introduction and our partnership. And thank you very much, Stephanie, for inviting me. And well, first I'll thank everybody for being here and choosing to spend a little bit of time with me and my photos. I'm truly honored that you have chosen to do that. So thank you. And I want to mention that Stephanie and I were just in a show together called Street Scenes at the Bartolini Gallery in San Rafael. And that was really exciting. It was a wonderful show, 6 women street photographers. And that's where I got to know Stephanie. So we have a lot of nice pedigree together. And really, just thank you again so much for being here. I'll share a little bit about me and then I'll get right into the photos. So about me, I have been doing photography a long time. I had a Kodak Instamatic as a kid. I bet a lot of you had those. I did darkroom work in college, and I have been the family photographer for many, many years. And as a writer, I appreciated storytelling, and I also realized that my photos were not telling the stories that I wanted them to tell. So in 2018, I really got fed up with my bad photos, and I dedicated myself to becoming a better photographer. And I started taking classes, and I started with a beginner class. I just got really back to basics. And the more I learned, the more I photographed, the more passionate I became about photography. And then the pandemic came, and I really had a strong urge to document the times, to get out there. Street photography didn't consist of a lot of people in those days, but I really wanted to document the times. At the same time, the pandemic also offered a lot of new Zoom classes and workshops and mentorships, and I was able to take advantage of those. So my passion became a full-blown obsession, to the degree that it's a pretty rare day when I don't do something photo related, shoot, edit, talk about photography, read about photography, etc. So you'll see, hopefully, why I am very excited to share my work with you. Whoops. Tech hiccup while I share my screen.
One thing I forgot to mention is we'll hold questions till the end unless it's pertinent to the photograph. That's what we had talked about earlier.
Right. So I'll share, and I welcome, right, some comments along the way. relating to the photos, and then we will have plenty of time. I'll time myself. We will have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So first off, I thought I'd just start by briefly talking about what street photography is to me and showing you a couple of examples. My favorite street photos tell stories about people, time, and place. They explore everyday life in an artistic way. They're often candid, but not always. There's a whole genre of street portraits, and I will include a couple of those. Also, street photography needn't be limited to the street. You could take photos in a park, at the beach, at Burning Man, at a fair. You'll see some of those. It's generally agreed that the street scenes aren't contrived or posed. I don't personally like to intervene, except occasionally I will ask someone if I can take their photo. Um, and that said, well, there's some overlap with documentary photography, and I'm going to talk more about that in the talk. And a couple things I like about street photography. I like the spontaneity. I like the way you have to act quickly or the moment is lost. Now that means someone might walk in front of your beautiful photo, and it's too bad. I feel like that's life. That's street photography. That's part of the challenge of it. You really have to be pretty nimble in the street. You know, you're dependent on other people for this thing, this kind of crazy thing that we do. But it rewards curiosity, patience, flexibility, and a general joy about our fellow humans, or at least a desire to add something to the dialogue about what it means to be alive. Now, these are two photos from two of my favorite street photographers of the many, many out there. Helen Levitt photographed in New York City for about 70 years. Beautiful work. This is a mid-century photo of children. She did a lot of children and spontaneous street photography. Fred Herzog, one of my favorite photographers, early color photo practitioner in Vancouver, Canada. And I just love his compositions and his colors. So one more thing is that people ask about the legality of making street photos. It is perfectly legal to take photos in a public place. Someone can ask you not to take their photo, and it's up to you how to respond. Um, Often, you know, I generally wouldn't take a photo if someone asked me not to, just as I wouldn't take a photo of somebody in a very compromising or unflattering position. But it's really up to each street photographer where they fall on that line. I will say that a good attitude and a smile and a kind of I'm in this with you vibe really, really goes a long way out on the street. And I'll share more about that as I get into my one of my favorite subjects, which is exuberance. So I do like taking photos of people out there having a good time, right? Why not? It's a theme I like to photograph. I like to be in the thick of things. I like to see folks having a good time, as mentioned. And here in the Bay Area, there are a lot of public events, and there's a history of experimentation and personal expression and joy. And I go to a lot of events, like this one was at Beta Breakers, the crosstown run in San Francisco. I go to a lot of events, not necessarily to take a photo, a documentary photo of the event, but to see the people, the emotions, the personal connection, person to person, and perhaps person to photographer. So I'm looking for a variety of people and situations. I'm looking for emotions, spontaneous joy, something unique, something in the human condition that I can get out there. This is somebody dancing in the street, quite literally. This was a couple of years ago when the incarnation of the Grateful Dead that was performing in 2023 came to Oracle Stadium, and folks of all ages were in the hate, really spontaneously dancing to music that a little band was playing. And I had such a good time photographing this. This is the one person that you're going to see twice in this slideshow in two different eras. So part of what I do, I mean, I got in the middle of it and I was dancing too, and that's not for everybody, but I think it helps, you know, it helps me be part of it and not just be an outsider with a camera. And it just, I don't know. I mean, part of the reason I do this is to have a good time also. And I think that spirit hopefully is conveyed in the photos. This is at Carnival, which is a beautiful event that takes place every year in San Francisco. Parade and street fair of people from multiple countries in the Caribbean, South America, Africa, and it's just a really great parade and just wonderful spirit dancing people. And again, I'm looking for emotion more than I'm looking for a documentation of the parade itself. I might get that, just to have a variety of pictures, but I'm really looking for photos that really communicate something of the human experience from the day. This is another from the folks that came out to dance in the Haight a couple years ago. And let me know if I'm sticking too long or too short on any photos. Another one from Carnival. I think these folks got stuck in the street. So again, to my great fortune, I got to be stuck with them and I got to be up pretty close. That is one thing for photographers. I have a relatively short lens. I use a 24 to 50 on a full frame Nikon Z6 II. And so I am up pretty close. I mean, I really believe in kind of getting up there, being with people. I think again, if I'm trying to get the emotion and the connection, more of that is going to come through if I'm up close. This was just a couple weeks ago in the Haight. I think these folks had just gotten married, and I did ask if I could take a portrait photo, but I liked this one better. It was slightly more spontaneous. She saw me and then smiled. So again, there's that human connection that I thought I got, and she's pretty happy in the moment. These fun folks are in Kyoto. This is the Tachibana Senior High School Marching Band. And this is one of those things, street photographers have our antenna up just a bit. And my husband and I were in Kyoto a couple years ago, and we saw people lined up along a street, and we kind of thought, like, what's happening here? Why are they all lined up? What's going to happen? And we got up there, and sure enough, this marching band came through. I actually followed them into this little mall where they are. And of course, I like the profusion. That's another one of my visual themes. I like all the orange skirts and the high legs marching up, up, up. And I like how they just seem like they're having fun, even though they're playing their instruments, but they're also really having a good time. And this band is known, they've been in the Rose Parade, and they travel the world and they're known, for their music and their dance steps. I wasn't a videographer, but they really did a lot of complicated dance steps along with their playing. So the next theme is humor. It's not a real stretch from exuberance, but a little different. Is I think, everyone likes humor, and spotting humor out in the world is one of the things that gives me joy, and it keeps me photographing. So I'm always happy to capture something surprising, something unexpected. A juxtaposition I'm heightening simply by placing a frame around that photo, right? It's fun. And I'll add that my goal is never to make fun of people, but I'm really kind of poking gentle fun at life. So the idea is that we're all in this together. It's all funny. We're all enjoying this. Like, I believe anybody who saw this picture of themselves would probably think it was funny. I would hope, but that's just generally my goal in being out there. This was at Coney Island, which in New York, which is just a fabulous place to people watch, take photos. I mean, any place that's good for people watching is going to be good for street photography. And that's another reason I like to get out to events, is because that's where the people are. So I'm looking for a variety of people, stories, interest, people connecting with each other and not necessarily looking at me, although in this example, she is looking at me. But I just thought this was such a funny, strange moment during SantaCon, or actually the little bar crawl that happens afterward. So people were in the space, and I like, open spaces where I can see into them. And I also just thought it was just a weird commentary on the times to have these ads on top with the pills and different things.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I
It
was
just
I was going to ask you, Susan, like, was that part of the construction? It seemed like it was, and you're saying it is, because that's what hit me funny as well. It's just the pills, and then the zippy sweeper, and then the basketball game.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just I thought it was kind of a surreal commentary, on modern times or something, So I'm always looking for those funny juxtapositions and weird things. And it might have been an okay photo without the TV screens, but I thought it made it funnier. Thank you for noticing that. And likewise, more, you know, profusion or something similar, I think is funny. And I liked that each leg was in a different position. Each stripe was a little different. So I thought that was kind of funny. And this was when I had to get low. I was on the stair under them when I saw it. So again, street photography, you got to move fast. You got to be willing to go high, go low. Look for something, a different angle, like whatever is going to work in the moment. And so there's a certain nimbleness and agility, that I like and advise, and I find fun for this style of shooting. This was the Mrs. Roper bar crawl. I mean, there's so many fun things that are available to one. And again, I thought this would just be a really fun thing visually, and it was. All these folks in the Castro, in this great bar that's on a prominent corner in the Castro, in their orange wigs. So I thought that was funny. I'll say a quick funny story about this is people who know San Francisco, there's a host of naked men who hang out in the Castro. And I've kind of become friends with them over the years of photographing. And they were confused as to why on this day there was a little orphan Annie bar crawl. So no, they're Mrs. Roper and the Moo Moos and the yeah. So
Yes.
you meet all kinds of people out there, which is again, it's kind of part of the fun. This is something completely different. This is obviously in New York City. And this is I was actually going to wrap up photographing for the day. It was my last day of a trip, and the last hour I was photographing. I was trying to get cabs moving fast and do something artsy with that. But I saw this group of young women across the street from me in leotards. It was cold. It was a cold March day in leotards and posing. And I thought, what the heck is going on over there? So of course I like ran across the street, and it turned out it was a photo shoot. And there is kind of a time-honored tradition of not getting in the way, but piggybacking on somebody else's photo shoot if something good is going on. So I was way behind the photographer who was photographing. And I was obviously photographing something different too, because what I was interested in was the juxtaposition of the dancers with just people going about their business in New York City Midtown, just walking head down in the cold. Um, I just thought that was funny. And I got that. And then I stuck around. I pretty much stuck around for as much of the shoot as I could and got this young woman. I was at a pretty fast shutter speed and a pretty high ISO because it was also like a cloudy day. But I was happy with what I got. I just thought the juxtapositions were very strange. And so humor, looking for humor that isn't necessarily guffaw producing, but something interesting, incongruous, something that tells a story, something that makes you look twice. Like this. What is happening with this knife? Again, this was after carnival at the street fair portion of it. And just looking at these folks, I was probably drawn by the red and what's happening. Something interesting is happening with the food setup. And then just the way she had her knife pointed out, seemingly at the other person, I thought was kind of amusing. Oh, also, maybe it helps to be easily amused to be a street photographer. I don't know, but I am easily amused out there. This one, all right, a sip of water before I tell this story.
It's hilarious.
Thank you very much. This is a pretty popular photo. People like it, including the sisters in the photo who have since seen the photo. Um, I boarded a J Church bus in San Francisco, sat down in my seat and see these two women across from me. And they were just, they were beatific. The light I thought was beautiful on them. And, she's holding the portrait of the Virgin Mary pointed out. And I was just sitting there. And at that time, I had a bigger camera. I had a Nikon D5600 with a 16 to 80. So it's pretty big. You couldn't miss me. And I was sitting in my seat. I could get this. And I thought, oh my gosh, look, they're so beautiful. I'm going to take the picture. We're on Church Street. And then I just clicked away. I just hoping to get that sign in the background. I just thought that would make it. And I know they saw me. I think they looked over and they just kind of kept glancing ahead. And I was so happy they did because A, it's a nice picture, but also the that's that's what you hope for out in the world, like these candid moments. And that's why, I try to be quick, even if I'm going to ask someone for a portrait, maybe I'll try to take a couple photos first, then ask, because once they see you, once they're posing for you, a whole different thing happens. They smile, it's just oftentimes it's a much less interesting photo. So I try to have something candid if I can before the person spots me. After the person spots me, I will smile. I'll say, they might ask me why I took the picture, and I'll say, hey, you just look great. You look great in that light. It was beautiful. Look at the church street. I mean, I'll engage them in the process. And, it really pretty much almost always wins somebody over. Like they realize I wasn't doing anything nefarious. I'm not a spy. I'm not a real estate broker. I mean, sometimes people think you're doing something you're not doing. But once you kind of explain what you're about, hey, I'm enjoying life. I'm trying to make art out of everyday life. I'm doing something fun out here. You look great. They usually enjoy it. And I give people a card, and that also explains what I do. And I say, once we've engaged together, I'll say, always happy to share a photo, and I'm happy to give them a JPEG. I don't charge for that because I think that it's kind of a collaboration out in the street, and it's a way of saying thank you for letting me take your photo. This one is again, it's not overtly humorous. This was in New York, and this was somebody getting married at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and the woman was beautiful in her fur, like a winter bridal outfit. And then when the clergy person stepped in front of her, I thought, gosh, that's really interesting too. And that's just a nice juxtaposition and something a little different. So I was able to get pretty close and get that picture. Hmm. I'm suddenly unable to go forward. There we go. Okay. Okay, another Coney Island never fails. Um, this was actually the Mermaid Parade. I've been there multiple other days when it wasn't an event, but this is the Mermaid Parade. So perhaps the person earlier had some kind of a fish costume on or something. I'm not really sure, but it was so funny to see her try to eat the ice cream with those teeth. So that was another one. I just, I had to get that. I thought that was funny. And this one, again, you'll see this is a little theme of mine. I like tushies. I can't help it. This just it attracted me, and I jumped up. I was eating in a restaurant in New York, and I jumped up because I really liked the that they were both in their florals. It just felt like a real moment in spring for me. It just felt like New York spring, warm, the pretty spring dresses, and um I don't know. I just thought it was a fun little moment and something interesting visually. There's that. Okay. So the human experience. I'm going to see how we're doing on time. All right. I think we're okay. The human experience. This is what I would call the kind of the meat of street photography. It's kind of the bread and butter. And I define it in my work as an effort to capture the full range of human emotion. Not just funny. People might be pensive. People might be um, deep in thought. People might be exhausted. So there's everything. The quiet moments, the moments that might seem to reveal our inner selves. I mean, of course, we can't know someone's inner self, but I don't know. I think as I'm out there photographing, maybe because I'm often in a city alone, walking and being, I'm perhaps projecting or trying to get something out of what I might think is somebody's inner experience. And I'm looking to capture a feeling, a fleeting moment in time, maybe through composition, maybe through humor, maybe through something we can all relate to. So, for instance, in this one, this was at the St. Patrick's Day parade in San Francisco. And often during the parade, the really great moments of emotion, connection, storytelling happen before and after the parade. So this was after. And of course, my profusion, my colors, my kids. I mean, this has a lot of themes, holiday, a lot of themes that I like in photos that I seem to seek out. I just like the way they were just done after this parade and various ranges of being done. But that's kind of what I projected onto them as they were sitting there after the St. Patrick's Day parade. These young women were in probably near Shibuya Crossing in Tokyo, another great place for street photography. Talk about tons of people everywhere. You don't have to look for people, they're just everywhere, and lots of people coming and going, and emotion and stuff. So they were just, of course, darling. I love their Harajuku outfits. And I probably got one photo, and then I asked if they would pose, and they did. And they were just so cute, you know. And I also, in this one, I like the fact that they and all the stuff around them just fills the frame with information, you know, the lettering, the graphics, the city, you know, so you get a lot of information from this photo, I think. These young women were leaving the annual tulip giveaway in San Francisco. And again, of course, you know, you can't go wrong with flowers, people carrying flowers. Their flowers are so pretty. I love the colors. I like the young women. I like just what they're wearing and how they're made up and how they're dressed similarly. And then just this interesting moment of them coming out. And of course, the one taking a selfie with her flowers. I just thought that was a really fun moment to capture. This was at SantaCon, and again, I just like I like that they both had the fur. I like that they were both engaged doing something. Again, probably checking the lipstick in a phone app. But yeah, I thought that was kind of nice. A nice light on them too. That's something else. I mean, I look for nice light when I can. So it's some combination of light, people doing something interesting, um, interesting face, people crossing in front of you, something, you know. Also in Tokyo, these ladies were waiting to clean the train that had come. And I don't know if the ones in the front are also bowing. They may be as a way of being courteous to the person coming off the train and marking that transition. But again, we have, you know, the profusion, they were all lined up, the body language is similar. So I really like that little moment. I like this moment of this guy checking under a car in one of the many beautiful lowrider events that happen in the Mission in San Francisco. And yeah, the cars, you know, lift up on hydraulics. And I just like that he got under it. And again, it's an example of getting a little low myself because I just thought it was a funny moment of him peeking under the car like that. And again, see, I told you I like tushies. This is in Coney Island. And again, I thought it was a funny little moment. And there's a lot going on here. I like the two women facing in. The kid is in transition, either coming up or going down, not really sure. Someone's putting eye drops in their eyes in a beach chair. You know, so if I can get something where there are a lot of funny, different things going on, I really enjoy that. And it's just kind of a funny little moment in life, like Coney Island. And it could be another era. I mean, we have a rainbow flag, maybe that marks the time slightly, but um, you know, again, there's a documentary aspect to what I'm doing, you know, but it's street. This is a street photo in that it's, you know, it's kind of a one-off little funny storytelling moment to me. This happens to be in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Um, this is in the Hasidic neighborhood. It's a Satmar neighborhood, which is a very religious Jewish sect. And I do like to go to neighborhoods that are different to me. And I guess I'll say just a quick thing about this. First off, I really do I like strollers and carriages, and I think I like things that look old-fashioned, and this certainly does. And I like, again, the profusion. I like all the kids in similar, most of them in similar dress. But I will say, okay, so this is a neighborhood where outsiders are not particularly welcome, especially ones with cameras. And so what I've done in this neighborhood is I've gone a few times. The first couple times I took a tour with somebody, so I would learn a little bit more about the culture and understand a little bit more about the people that I'm trying to photograph. And I've I've gone. I mean, I can't say everyone like loves me, but I've kind of ingratiated slightly into this community in that I managed to meet a couple people, and a couple people have been friendly to me by saying like, "Oh, what do you do? What are you photographing?" And some have even said, "Can I see it on Instagram?" Which I mean, I had some preconceived notions about how technological or not people in this neighborhood would be, but people might surprise you. So I guess I would say if you are in a different neighborhood than yours with a different culture, to enter with respect and not to judge and try to understand like where they are, where they're coming from. And certainly in this neighborhood, if someone says no, I won't take a picture. And often, so, a lot of the pictures are candid, and maybe I'll smile afterward as a way of saying thank you, or we'll get in a conversation afterward, even better, and I will get to know the person. So that's kind of my spiel about photographing in neighborhoods that aren't yours, and just trying to be a human out there. Like I feel like I'm trying to capture these human moments. I mean, this is again, the person didn't, they weren't that appreciative of me after they noticed me taking a couple pictures. But I thought, what a moment, these ladies talking over a mailbox like this. Like, how often do you even see something like this? And this, I guess it made me think of Helen Levitt, who I showed you in the beginning. It's just a moment in life, and I guess I try to be aware of those things. I try to sometimes I walk around with a camera aware. Sometimes I stand in one place if it's a really interesting spot with an interesting background, aware of what might happen. I mean, in this case, I probably came up to them and saw them with the mailbox. But perhaps I would have lingered around if I liked the scene enough. Maybe I would have stayed around, and maybe if the light was great, I'd think, oh, I hope somebody nice crosses into this good light. So there's just a couple different ways of doing street photography. I probably employ many of them. I don't, if I'm lingering around a corner, I try not to do it too long. I mean, there's a point where the magic is just kind of gone and you have to move on. Um, this person, again, in New York, again, just one of the best places for street photography. Um, this woman, I believe, was on a break from the nearby diner. And of course, I love her body language. I like all the iconic New York informational graphics throughout the photo. I was staying in a hotel and I had to run to get somewhere, and I saw her, and I thought, oh, that would make a great picture. I cannot stop. So I noted the time and I thought, I hope she is on her break another day at this time. And I went by and she was. So I was rewarded, and there she was. And again, same thing, same posture, same cigarette, same phone, sitting on a really kind of a small little, I don't know what that is, hydrant. I don't know what that is on the sidewalk, but um I got that. And again, just a nice moment in life, in time. Same with this Diamond District in New York, another place where the people are really not thrilled with you taking photos. It's a sensitive business, I suppose. Um, and I have been actually kind of warned, threatened not to take photos, but that's the place where I say, hey, I am literally in the middle of 47th Street. I'm in the middle of one of the most populous streets in the most populous cities in the world. And I do have a legal right to be here. I don't usually say that because it doesn't usually win points with anybody, but I know it. And so in a place like that, I feel like fair game in the Diamond District, but I have had people say stuff to me, and I have had people give me the finger and, oh, whatever. I mean, again, that's kind of street photography too. That's like, you sign up for this, it's part of the deal. But I've gotten some nice photos in the Diamond District of people looking at diamonds, of interesting people walking by. It's a street where many, many different people go. And that's why I like it. That's what draws me to a street like that. Um, this young woman was doing a bridal shoot in Kyoto at the doorway to a temple. And again, I mean, she just had such a beautiful spirit and way about her, laughing. And I later got some photos of she and her husband. And I thought this couple's going to make it. They're so cute together. And they just had a really nice way about them. And so I was happy to get this photo too. I wish I could give it to her. If, sometimes I post on Instagram and sometimes people actually see the photos and send them to friends and they get them. But I think that person would like that photo. Just a little quiet moment in Chinatown on a rainy day. Um, This was really kind of an accident. I was taking the picture of just the space, and this woman walked by with her orange umbrella, fitting in the composition and fitting in all those colors in the soft rainy light. So of course I was able to get a photo of that. And that was in the street scenes show that I mentioned earlier with Stephanie, and real happy I got that one. This is fairly recent. And just nice light on a restaurant. The woman sitting in the window on her phone drew me. I just thought she was interesting looking, and I like the mural around her. And then when I got closer, I saw, oh, these interesting women and varied light. And so that was just a nice little city moment that I was able to get. Another moment, I love our local historic streetcars, and I usually try to photograph them when I can. This is actually the same rainy day as Orange Umbrella, and another woman crossing in front, and I liked the red. These are my Fred Herzog colors, so I get to invoke both of the street photographers that I showed you earlier. I just loved her red against the green of the streetcar, and the little moment there. Coney Island again, just splayed. And what drew me was the red and the red bathing suit, red Ferris wheel, red of rubies, and the way I was able to make a composition with that. All right, next theme up is carnivals and fairs. I should have told you there's this, and then there's a short one after this one. So I have loved carnivals and fairs since I was a little girl. I love the colors. I love the spectacle. I love the joy. And as a street photographer, they appeal to me because they're really kind of temporary mini villages. They spring up and people enjoy them and then they go back away again. But inside, there's all kinds of things that happen. There's a lot of connection between people. There's a lot of joy. There's a lot of people running around. I like kids, as you see. So I like drama and teens and people that are generally really not paying any attention to me. They do not see me. They're running from ride to ride and having fun with the food. And um, so that's all great. I also really like 4-H kids and contests. And you're going to see a little section of 4-H photos. Those are children that learn to care for animals and they learn about their animals. And that's a subculture that I photograph when I get a chance. I go to these fairs and photograph that. And I'll say that I'll talk about 4-H when I get there. So these are just a few at some local carnivals around town and fairs, just having fun with getting the goldfish. This was a lot of fun to photograph actually, because again, I like the graphic of the fish and the kids, how excited they were to win them. I like the teens. I like the phones and the groups and the way they couple and pair and group and move. And I just think that's all. And what they wear, I just think teens are really interesting to photograph. Likewise, this one they were all dressed fairly alike, maybe planned to wear Hawaiian shirts. I like the light on them. And teens are fair game and kids are fair game. I think you have to be a little sensitive who you're photographing, why, where, what you intend to do. Um, I have parents sometimes ask me what I'm doing, and when I explain it, either it's okay or it's not, and then we all move on. But I think, you know, teens, I think are these are young adults, I think are you know, can make a beautiful photo. These were people just this was at the Marin County Fair. And again, I like the light, the moment, everything about this one, the carnival stuff in the background. Again, light, moment, shadow, color. I mean, fairs just have everything I like, and they're just delightful. They're delightful for me to photograph, and they're delightful for me to visit. So, I mean, if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to do it. So, hopefully that would be part of any street photographer's credo. And I think it is based on the people I meet out there having fun taking pictures with their cameras. This is Randy and Mandy, a couple that I met. They are both carnival workers, and they were really delightful, and I was really happy to take a picture of them and share it with them. So these are beautiful children doing 4-H. And I would say this little section comes the closest to what I would consider documentary work as opposed to street per se, in that I went specifically to document a particular event or thing or culture. And I tried to get pictures that told the story of that culture. So this is this young woman had to remember facts about her rabbit. These kids work really hard all year to raise the animals and then become knowledgeable about them. So I thought it was so cute that she was showing her memory there of her animals, showing her knowledge. This one I did with a little longer lens so I could get a little further away and not be in their faces. I had permission. I was hired to photograph the Marin County Fair. And also the longer lens let the subject stand forward a little bit from the background. I thought that would be nice in this situation. Just little details that show people's love for what they do. This happened to be a judge who showed previously. So always looking for those nice details, the nice storytelling people moments. This young woman was showing large animals. And then again, I like the way, she obviously has a relationship with her animal. It's sweet. I mean, they get to know them and they do form relationships with the animal and with the practice of showing.
It's so cute.
I'm glad you like it. I really do enjoy the 4-H kids. And this one just amused me how I thought she and her I mean, I don't know if the rabbit was tired, but the person was tired. And because they go a long time and you might have to sit a long time and wait till it's your turn to get up. And um I just thought that was just a funny little moment again. Hmm. Let's see if this will let me go ahead. There we go. Yeah, just a nice detail. And they win these belts, they win the belt buckle when they really, have a good showing. And everyone who wins a belt buckle is pretty proud to wear it. So it's kind of a big deal in the 4-H culture. Hmm. Now this is recent work, and I show this really as to encourage you to get out there, to not wait for a special occasion. I mean, I know I've kind of showed a lot of photos that were at events. There happen to be a lot of them. But just to get out there and photograph and have fun and just be on the lookout for something. Even if you and other people are out there, you're going to get different photos. You have a different frame of mind, things that attract you, something that way you will see with your camera. So I really do encourage you. This was a very recent photo in Chinatown. Likewise, that man held a handstand a really long time. And Chinatown, great shadow and light. That was a place I photographed a lot during the pandemic. I got to know it really well. So it was a lot of fun when the people came back to it. And they're really there now. And just really always a nice place to photograph. This one I really liked. This was at the cable car turnaround. Love, of course, the cable car and the new painting, the red and white, but I also liked all the different hands and faces and graphics and things that were happening in this one. So sometimes I look for interesting graphics or, a combination of graphic and people, something just interesting out there. This was at the most recent incarnation of folks from the Grateful Dead, Dead and Company, coming to the city to play, and all kinds of people from all around the world came to the Haight again because the concerts were in Golden Gate Park, and I was able to get all kinds of people in a variety of emotion and dress and festivity, and I really enjoyed that. So the young woman on the left was the woman in the dancing photo, the second photo I showed under exuberance. And she actually came up to me. She recognized me. And she said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm seeing you again. That's so great." And it was really lovely. And so again, I kind of live for those moments. In addition to the photos, just the nice connections you make with people out there, and people who are happy to see you again, people who are happy to be photographed, and just be part of it with you, be, in life with you. Um, Again, the tradition of trading an art for a ticket. I believe she did get a ticket, as did most of the people who I kind of came by later and asked, and most of them got in if they wanted to. But all kinds of creativity around the Grateful Dead, around the scene of it, things that they were making and selling. And it was just really fun, festive weekend. I mean, you don't get a whole lot like these. It's fun and it's got great light quite often. But this was a pretty special weekend to be down there. Again, sometimes I'm close. Obviously, this I was walking. Some of the others I was maybe a little more stationary in a place that I thought was interesting. And when I'm walking, I can be pretty close. And I'm short, so that's why usually I'm looking up, but hopefully they make interesting pictures. I was able to get pretty close to this woman. Just thought she was interesting. This is a corner I stayed on for a while because all kinds of people were walking by, and it was just funny when these tall folks walked by. I mean, when the tall woman walked by, these two men with their ice cream. I thought that was a nice shot. And this is a street portrait. So I probably got a candid portrait of this woman, but I really liked her look, and I asked if I could take a portrait, and I did. And this was the better of the two. You never know. I mean, I thought it revealed something about her and was just kind of a nice moment, nice place in time. You got him, you got all their items there. So that was just something worth doing. And I will share, that's the end of my photos, but I will share a quote from Joel Meyerowitz, who I really admire, another wonderful street photographer, happens to be from New York, very active in the 60s and 70s and then through to today. So he says, photography is a very optimistic sport. You press that button and you're saying yes. So something to take with you. It's from his book, How I Make Photographs, which I really recommend for all street photographers. It's more about the philosophy and the mindset of street photography than composition per se. But I have learned a lot about that, and I have adopted a lot of that into my photography. So I really appreciate you being here and listening and watching. And I'll stop the share, and I guess we'll open it up to questions and comments. Thank you again.
I'm gonna put it back in the gallery. There we go.
Oh my gosh, it's exactly 8.
Yeah,
Feel free to this. We have time for questions and comments.
it was really great, Suze. Oh my gosh, super great to see. I was curious about your decision to hire a guide in Brooklyn initially, and sort of what motivated you, or what made you, how did that come to you as an idea, which I think is um, pretty insightful to sort of take that tack to understanding the neighborhood. I know you lived there for many years in New York, so maybe that was an insight that you had coming into it. But if you could,
Yeah, it's I had lived in New York, but I had actually never been to Williamsburg and
uh,
hadn't even spent that much time in Brooklyn. And it's interesting. I was in Williamsburg with a friend initially took me there to see. She said, "You've got to see the Jewish community." I didn't really even know that much about it. So took me there and I could see, oh, this is something very special. And it's something where the people are a bit insular, said without judgment. They are within themselves and not don't seem like there are a lot of outsiders here. So I thought, I think I want to learn more. I'd love to come back and photograph. I mean, it was a goal after that to come back. But I thought, I want to learn more about what it is, who they are, and what I'm photographing, so that I'm not just a person. I don't know, like I'm not a sightseer with a camera. I didn't want to be rude, and I read a little about these folks and they said we don't want to feel like we're in a zoo. Like they said, buses come through and people are taking pictures out the window. And I thought, I still wish to photograph there, and I want to, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it with respect. So, yeah, so I actually took a couple different tours of Williamsburg and then a couple different Jewish neighborhoods in Brooklyn that I ended up returning to because I like the culture and because I like the way the people look. Admittedly, it has a look that could be construed as old fashioned. And so that I think it helped me. I think it helped me know who the people were, know what to say, perhaps, maybe a phrase or two to say, know a friendly spot to pop in, which often, and this maybe it's a tip, but in that case, it was like the bagel shop. They said he's very friendly. He likes everybody. He likes photographers. So it's nice to kind of know, okay, this could be a friendly face should you want one. Um, so I don't know if that answered your question, but I think it really it helped inform my photographing in that neighborhood a lot. I mean, I dropped the tour guide's name, I, you know, and then so between that and kind of knowing why I was there, being there led to more being there. Like I once, I was there and then I met someone and she said, "Well, if you're enjoying photographing today, I think you would really like to come to this other occasion on Sunday." And I thought, wow, someone from Williamsburg, an insular community, is inviting me to come back.
Yeah.
That's really something. And I've actually since kept in contact with that person, and we're on WhatsApp. And I know that if I go there again, I'll look her up. So it's, each time you get, if we live closer, I'd go there more often, but now I've been a few times and each time I get a little more involved in the community and I feel a little more okay being there. Again, not to say everyone is crazy about me, but more and more people are friendly. And I don't know if I attribute it to knowing about the community, but it may have impacted my attitude
For
being,
sure. That's
yeah.
helpful. Thank you.
Hey,
Sure.
Suze, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Or maybe it's a comment and a question, but I notice not always, but quite often there's things going on in the background or right in the periphery of the photo, which it would be a little stretch to imagine you actually observe them. One of the Coney Island pictures, I think there was somebody holding a lifesaver, a life preserver over their face. It looks really silly in the corner. And I just am wondering, um, kind of your thoughts about that sort of off topic, but in background, sort of random things going on that crop up sometimes.
No, actually, that's very on topic. So I mean, there's lots of, yeah, I mean, we're always looking for foreground, middle ground, and background to get an interesting picture and not just a snapshot. I mean, I might see an interesting person, but I really hope they're going to go by an interesting background. And the bigger challenge, and one that I struggle with, is to get something where multiple things are happening in multiple planes and they're all worthy and they're all distinct. And sometimes it might take standing in a place and taking a few photos. Like my hunches with that Coney Island one, I took a few photos. I'm not sure if it's the one with the ladies bending in or the person with the ice cream cone, but probably in either case, I would have taken a few photos because you don't know till you get home sometimes what is on the camera. So it's like, well, I'm gonna take a few and try, and it's somewhere between hoping and knowing that there's something interesting in throughout the frame of the picture. I mean, I can increase my odds by going to places where there are a lot of interesting people. Um, but that's my goal. And if I see you get better at it, doing it. You get better at seeing something, taking the photo quickly. So I'm getting better at, oh, okay, a person in crab costume and there's a fish back there. Okay, maybe I can snap it, or maybe I can move myself to where, oh, they're in a really nice line together. That will work. And if I can get a third person over there doing something. So it's a little of each. It's like observation, practice, just trying stuff, not being afraid to shoot. It's really a mixture. But I try to be really aware. It's like you have you're walking with a or being with a heightened awareness all the time. That's part of what makes it fun.
Dennis,
Seriously, I like you taking a tour first, but one of the things, I don't know if you know Melissa O'Shaughnessy,
I do.
she talked about similar things that you do where you go back to a spot and you wait. And
Yes.
if you've
I
taken a tour, you know the spot to go to. And my favorite story you told tonight was taking the time that that woman was sitting there, that worker, and going back. That's that was the best. Thank you.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thank you. I've actually met Melissa O'Shaughnessy in New York. And when you go there, it's one of those places where you see a lot of street photographers that
I'm
you've
there a lot.
long admired. So yeah, it's so much fun. Well, yeah, thank you for that. Right. So it's really knowing when to walk on or when to stay in a spot and work it. And by working it, it's you might get different angles. Like at the events in the Haight, people were so busy with each other and there were so many people. I was able to stay in the same spot but kind of move within the spot and get different kinds of photos, and then you also kind of know when to move on. All right, this spot is done. I'll move on and try to find another one. But it's I don't know, I really engage in a combination, walking along and staying in a spot.
I know Dennis has been trying to sneak in here.
Thank you. Question, I noticed that most of your work, at least being shown tonight, is colorful. And I think that color does play a large part in grabbing your eye, and you use it very well to pull things together. Do you do much black and white at all?
That's a great question. I don't. I mean, I learned doing black and white. I mean, that's kind of how I learned when I was doing photography in college and doing darkroom. And I think it's an interesting question because I love color so much. It's a part of life to me, and I'm attracted to it. And yet, I also ask myself, am I using it as a crutch? Would this be a good photo in black and white? Would it stand up? So would the composition stand up? Would the tonal range stand up? And sometimes I'll convert my photos to black and white just to see if that's the case. Um, and to see maybe if they would even make them more interesting. Like, would they make them look more, say, timeless? Because we're used to black and white photos being from a certain era. Like that's how our eyes are and our minds are trained. So, I experiment with that. And so it's not to say I won't do black and white, but I love color so much, and it's become, I wouldn't say a signature, but I'm so drawn to the reds and that red and green, like Kodachrome
Hmm.
combination and the primary colors. So, yeah. Do you shoot black and white?
Yeah, I do both, and I do convert shots from one media to the other on purpose to see just how well it stands up, where does it fail. But I also find that black and white assists in isolating get rid of some of the distractions that color can sometimes impose on a photograph, especially if one is chasing mood of people uh, or expressions of people, that black and white seems to better isolate that instance. Um, Color does serve a tremendous purpose, and I do enjoy both. But black and white, I think, is still my favorite.
Okay, I look forward to seeing more of your photos.
Pam
Thank you.
has her hand raised. Go ahead, Pam.
Hi, thank you so much, Suz.
Oh, hi. My pleasure. Nice
Hi.
to see you. I know Pam from photographing in the city.
And I have a question about photographing inside places. There's once I had a teacher who sent us into Woolworths to take photographs, and I was taken to the office to meet the manager.
Oh, you mean they didn't like you photographing in
But no,
Woolworth?
they didn't like it.
I see. So you wonder about the legal aspect.
Well, if you know the legal aspect, and if
I
you've
do.
had any trouble with that,
Well, yeah, we're not. Well, I mean, in the
it's not a
U.S.,
street, of course.
yeah. In the U.S., street photography, it's legal when done from an outside place. So I can actually take photos from an outside place into a restaurant and even into an apartment. Now, I don't do that really, but
Right.
one could. And there was actually like just a big court case recently. So it was that the photographer was outside, so anything photographer could see was fair game, was legal. But no, I can't go in a place and photograph. I mean, I sometimes I do it, just because I think, oh, a display looks so great. I'm just going to go photograph really quick. But often, and I like old corner markets and things like that. But usually in those cases, I will ask if I can take a picture in there.
Right. I've
Yeah.
I've had good luck with that. Some people say no, and some people say, yeah, sure.
Yes, and I love photographing inside, and I do what I can. I don't have a flash. One of my goals is to learn to get better with using flash, but yeah, I do. I like to go inside, but it's, again, in that case, I would suggest just asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless something's so great, you got to run in and get it, and then just apologize later. But yeah.
Bob, were you raising your hand?
No, I was just scratching myself. Yes, I was raising my hand. Hi, Suze. Two observations and one question. First was, thank you for showing that picture of that young woman in the hate that I also caught at the concert a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, you did. Yes, that's
I-
hilarious.
Yeah, what she was wearing, the same outfit she was wearing, and she was gorgeous. So
Yeah.
happy to see that. The second observation I wanted to make from what you said was, I love shooting kids, but I can't because I'm an old white guy. And that's actually one of the things that women street photographers have an advantage, frankly, over the men out there with the cameras. So your observation about street photography and documentary photography and the environment that you're shooting actually does make a difference. And it kind of resonated with me that when I'm out shooting protests or that type of a thing, that's more fair game, if you will, than just walking through Hayes Valley, for example, and shooting kids out on the street. So that was an interesting kind of like observation I'm making about that.
I think that's a great point. I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
Yes. And again, and because I photograph protests too and things like that. And I think people appreciate that you are documenting, and they're proud to be generally proud to be out there with their kids, and proud, happy to have you take the photo.
right.
I mean, so maybe maybe if we make the line as we're photographing,
Hmm.
I'm documenting, and maybe we'll get a little more leeway. But I definitely know that it is easier for women to take photos of kids. It might be easier for women of a certain age to do certain things. I don't know. I'm finding out. But yeah, I mean, I can pretty much even go in a playground where it says only the people who,
And I could never
only
do that.
no. And I understand that. And hopefully there are things that men can do that I can't do. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe certain places you'd go that I wouldn't go, but
dunk a basketball, but after that, I'm not sure.
yeah.
The
Right.
question,
Yeah.
the question I have for you is, I love the Brooklyn shots because I'm born and raised in that part of Brooklyn. So I know it very well. And I also started with an Instamatic. And I know that street photography, when you're growing up in that neighborhood, just going out and photographing the street photography, whether you realize it or not. So
Hmm. Hmm.
you didn't grow up in that kind of a neighborhood or environment, I believe. So my question to you is, because you're so good at street photography, and we always all remember. You can look through your archives and say, "I remember when I took that picture. I remember when I took that picture." Do you remember what was the first picture you took that really kind of resonated and saying, "This is that the genre of street photography," and you really loved it, and it like clicked for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, so I grew up in LA. So probably my parents were from Brooklyn, but probably my photos growing up were a lot more architecture, fun, googie apartment buildings and stuff like that, landscape, beach. But yes, I do remember it was 2017 and I was traveling. That trip we had gone to Rome, and Barcelona and Lisbon. And I was taking what I thought were street photos. And actually, it was funny. There was a woman with a dress with like a colorful circle on it, and she was standing in front of a traffic light with a circle. And I took it. And it's not that good. And it was really after that that I wanted to become a better photographer. But I was taking pictures that I didn't think they were um, trip or travel pictures. They seemed something more akin to street, but I didn't really even know what the name was yet for street photography. But something about that picture and a couple like it on that trip made me think, there's something here about making art from life, from observation, from interesting juxtapositions. There's something to this that I want to explore more. So really that's when I got back. I signed up for a class at the Image Flow in February 2018. I started taking classes with oh, who know, ICP and SF camera work. And I
You,
know
you
I
met,
met you at a street photo class probably the next year, right, through SF camera work. So yeah, and then I just really that's when I just got really dedicated after that, and I started reading about street photography and learning about it. My husband brought home a book about Fred Herzog. I had never heard of him. He brought home Fred Herzog, Modern Color. Thank you, Lippy. I know you're on the call. And I just thought, who is this? This is so wonderful. I want to learn from these people and do this and maybe contribute something to this genre. So it's really exciting to me.
well,
I
you
mean, I
have,
like oh, that Lippy just said shout out in the chat. Yeah, so I mean, I enjoy the storytelling, the documentary, and hopefully street photos individually each tell a little story too. But yeah. So thanks for that question. That was a great question. Yeah.
Hey, hey, Suz, how you doing?
Hi.
Uh, I, I I wondered if I took a street photography workshop in New York City as well a few years back, and we were kind of taught how to shoot from the hip.
Mm.
Do you do a little bit of for those candid shots? I mean, it takes certain talent to figure out how to keep a sharp photo and stuff like that, but do you do any work like that where you just snap it from the hip and hope you got it?
Yeah, I'm kind of laughing because the times that I've tried that, they're pretty bad. I mean, I get like mostly I overjudge, so I get like sky and chin or something, like
Yeah.
yeah. But so I do it occasionally. I mean, I took a workshop with somebody and he advised shooting from, if not the hip, then like the sternum or the chest or
Yeah.
something. But you know, I don't have a poker face. People see me anyway with the camera. Like in my case, I feel like I might as well just put it to my eye and own it. Like I'm here, I'm taking pictures, like it's live with. I don't know, like I don't know. It hasn't worked for me to try to hide it. I mean, maybe very occasionally. I mean, maybe for instance, had I seen those sisters on the bus, and if I really didn't think they would want me to take a picture, and a bus is a touchy situation because you kind of have to ride together to the next destination, and and it's subway, same thing. It's a little touchy, so I feel like in that case, maybe I'd try to take a photo a little surreptitiously, but I'm just so bad at it is the main reason I don't do it. But
Yeah, you mentioned using a 24 to 50, which is not a bad lens for that.
yes,
If you're shooting at, an f2.8 or something like that. Yeah,
exactly.
it's just a another technique. So yeah, thanks, appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, really, I would like to get a little better at that. And I'd also like to get better at shooting m more wide open. I usually shoot at maybe seven or so, only because I want to get a little depth of field. I mean, maybe I might be looking for people in the background that are going to be doing something interesting, but I don't know. But I usually do shoot pretty short, like 28-ish in that 24-50 range.
Cool.
But yeah. But yeah, I'm not really high. I guess I stopped hiding or stopped thinking I should or something. And it's usually okay. Like it's usually all right. Especially if I, kind of say something nice afterward or you know, something happened. I mean, really, I've had people say, "Why'd you take my picture?" And really, and like I say, I'll say, you had a great look, or I like your shirt, or with you had to see that funny moment, and then it does kind of diffuse, but almost always.
Should we do our photo challenge right now, Suze?
Sure.
I'm going to share my screen, and this is our photo challenge, and I'm going to let Suze read it and tell us what we came up with this together, but it's inspired by Sue's talk.
Yes. And the idea that interesting images are all around us. So hit a new street you've never been on, take a candid photo in that street.
I had a quick question about marriages. Are you walking on the streets with your husband, often taking photographs, and how does that work out?
Should I let him answer? No. I guess I guess we, usually I'm by myself and
Okay.
usually or I might be with another photographer, but usually we could sort of diverge and do our own thing. Oh, he said, ouch, question.
It
No,
can be stressful.
yeah, no. I think we've kind of learned. He's kind of learned to let me go do my thing, and then we'll connect later. Luckily, there's lots of things that occupy him in these cities too. So it's kind of like, yeah, all right, I'm going to do this for a couple hours. I'll meet you back at this corner. I'll meet you back at the bar. I'll meet you back. Usually that is a better way because the converse is. It's really fun to walk with a fellow street photographer, and I know there are a bunch on the call because we all laugh like, oh my gosh, I do the same thing. I stop all the time, so I understand you doing that. So there's that piece of it too. But no, and I know a lot of people are in partnerships with photographers and non-photographers. So yeah, it's just kind of I don't know. I think it was after that Europe trip I mentioned that we kind of learned to work this out. And this is, I mean, I'm so passionate about this, but I have to be kind of let go and then we'll connect again later.
Yeah, she's often a spotter for me. And then sometimes she sees a photograph and she says, let me stand here so they think you're taking a photograph of me so you can get what's happening behind me.
Oh, you got a decoy. Lucky. No, that's really lucky. No, that is a great thing, and that is something photographers can do for each other. And that's also a bit of a street photo trick to sometimes act like you're taking a picture of something else, but you're really taking a picture of the
Sure.
person. Yes. I will say often my husband he does spot. Like he'll go like green car, green shirt, like 3 o'clock, if we are walking together, because that is the other thing. Even if I'm not purposely out taking photos, I generally have my camera with me. I mean, it's so unusual for me not to have my camera. I feel like something's missing if I don't have it. So, we might just be out walking. I might not be intending to have a whole photo day, but if I see something, then I am ready to go at all times.
Thank
So,
you.
sure.
Well, thank you so much, Suze. This presentation will be posted if you want to watch it again. It'll be posted probably tomorrow. And it's been great having all these brand new people here. And I'm sorry about the noise on my end here.
Thank you so much. Really, thank you, all of you. You're the ones who have stuck around. So I really appreciate your enthusiasm and your questions and comments. And yes, the next time there's an event where you all go out shooting, I'd love to join you. This has really been a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Suze.
Take care. Have fun at Burning Man.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks,
It was a
Stephanie.
really great presentation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.